Hey there. Today on Take Two, I am talking to Kurt Overhardt, who is the main man at KO Sports, which is a boutique hockey agency based in Denver, Colorado. But Kurt, I know you pride yourself on being way more than an agent. Tell me a bit about that.
Thanks for having me. We consider ourselves advocates. I think anyone can be an agent, pretty much in any sport. But to be an advocate, we not only advocate for players during their career, whether it's their contracts or a salary arbitration, but if a player gets injured or if there's any type of dispute with the club, we advocate to protect the player. But we also we compel the athlete to advocate for themselves in their life, and we mentor the player as well. So yeah, it's a huge separation from just being an agent.
And I think that probably comes from your own personal experience, right? I'm sure you didn't, in grade 2, say to yourself, I'm going to be a player agent. You actually had aspirations to play pretty serious hockey, right? Tell me about that.
Yes, I hope to play Olympic hockey. I was probably 13 years old when the U.S. won the 1980 Olympics, and my goal was to play college hockey and to play in the Olympics. Unfortunately, I fell short. I did go to University of Denver to play hockey in the early 80s, but I shattered my kneecap and I've had 6 surgeries since on one of my knees. But I parlayed that into academics. The school was great to me, and then I went straight to law school. And in practicing law for a number of years, I had some unbelievable mentors in different areas of law. So very lucky.
So how did you start the agency? Did you start off with 1 or 2 kids? Like how did it grow to where it is today?
Well, I practiced law for 8 years for different firms, different law firms. And on the weekends, I'd spend my spare time flying back to Michigan or flying up to Toronto and scouting players. And eventually I started my own agency. And yeah, you have to start with one player and you build it. So it takes, trying to be successful, I think, in the service industry is usually 10 to 15 years. And I think that still holds true. So no, we've built a nice practice, and we're really honored to work with the players that we've represented.
So let's talk a little bit about the impact that COVID has had on hockey, not so much even the NHL, but all the other levels, all the feeder levels of that. I suspect that the impact has been enormous.
Yeah, I mean, the whole situation globally has been tragic for everyone, so I don't want to minimize things outside of hockey. But speaking just about youth hockey, I feel terrible for all these kids, male, female, who aren't allowed to go practice with their team. They're not allowed to play games. I mean, there's so many jurisdictions where you can't do that. It's almost draconian to me with not a whole lot of basis. And I think what we're going to see is, we're going to definitely see a lag in development. Obviously, in game development, a lot of players are working on their skill, working on their strengths. But nothing replicates a horse running around a racetrack than a horse running around the racetrack.
So let's talk a little bit about the draft. Normally the combine before the draft, there's all that physical testing, there's all the interviews that the players go through. How is the draft? Is there even going to be a combine, and how is the draft going to be managed this year?
Well, I mean, the draft is scheduled for July 23rd and 24th. I think it's going to be challenging to have a draft if we don't have an OHL and a Q and a dub season. That they're still speculating that they might have a 25 to 30 game season starting in March or April. If they can do that, I think they'll be able to pull it off. But I think that's going to be really challenging. I don't really see an in-person a combine because the expense associated with it, and then the liability. Bringing players in from all over the world to one space is something that we're supposed to avoid. So I think we're going to have a digital draft on the 23rd and 24th. Again, not a live draft and no combine.
So I guess the easy pickings would be Team Canada, Team USA, the World Juniors. That would be the easy way to go about the draft, is just draft everybody there that hasn't already been drafted, right?
Yeah, that and the USHL. How great was that? I mean, that was a special tournament.
Yeah, except I'm in Canada, right? So.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't mean it that way.
The game was great. The games were great.
It's on Canada too. It was a great release, I think, for society too. It was fun to watch hockey, wasn't it? I mean, the eyes were on all those young men. It was really fun to watch.
Yeah, it actually was. So tell me a little bit about what makes your agency unique, because I don't know how other player agents manage things. I know a little bit about how you do it, but what makes you different?
I just think the level of service that we offer and the sincerity and how much we care as mentors and and advocates for our players. I mean, we all share common values of integrity and professionalism within our group. And I think that translates to how we represent our players and how we treat our players. So I think that's a huge separation. There's no one in our industry that can touch that.
And part of that, I think, is the people that you've been recruiting to your ranks, right? You've been drawing from former players and parents of players. So tell me how you organize people out geographically.
Well, there's just certain areas of the North America and then Sweden that are hockey hotspots per se. So we have scouts or we have agents in certain areas that we really like, and we've had success. With the people. It's not just about the player; it's the person. The person's got to have the character and the fortitude and the commitment to be successful. And those areas have been really successful. So yeah, I'm really proud of our group.
So tell me a little bit about the conversations that you've been having with your client players in terms of trying to keep them motivated when so many of them can't even get on the ice.
Bigger, faster, stronger, quicker. We've got to try to, find a silver lining in all this. And I think when this all is done and there's actually junior hockey being played, it's going to be fun to watch, because I think the skill level is going to be pretty dominant because players will be quicker, they will be stronger. So they got to make the best of what they can.
Do you think that that COVID is going to have any kind of impact on the NHL itself, on the existing league?
Well, I mean, it's obviously had I think what's going to happen is the league has become a really young league. Okay. Young players. I think because where we're at now, it's going to only get younger. Okay. And part of that is I think a lot of the players who are older are going to be phased out quicker, in part because they've got families and COVID's been very challenging for them to be away from their families. And then their younger players coming up, and with the business of the league and things that are going on, there's going to be some constraints. So I really think there's going to be even a greater push toward young players.
Okay, wonderful. So Kurt, it's been a pleasure to be associated with you for, I think, getting on to 15 years now. And I certainly wish you all the best, and we'll be in constant touch as usual. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you.